Hare Krishna. Oh, okay. Hare Krishna, Srila Guru Maharaj. Dear devotees, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm doing okay. I'm here, Shanti. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Hare Krishna Shanti. Hare
Yeah.
Bol.
How are you doing?
I'm not feeling too well today, but I'll be okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Hello, yes, Hare Krishna. Do you like singing?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. A little bit of kirtan at the beginning allows some time for the latecomers to arrive, but I don't think anybody else has arrived. And maybe we lost one small child at some point, but but the rest of you are here. So today we begin our reading in Canto 2, Chapter 4, The Process of Creation, Text 6. Text 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vasyam Tatujayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh abhadresyu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Vayam tunavit pripiyam ma utamashloka vikrame yatri nivatam rasajinam svadu svadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. Okay, now I will repeat that we are on Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 6. Bhuya eva vivitsami Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Yatelam Sri Jate Visvam Durvibhavam Adisvarai. I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. Right, we'll go on with the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. In every inquisitive mind, the important question of the creation of the phenomenal world arises. And therefore, for a personality like Maharaja Parikshit, who was to know all the activities of the Lord from his spiritual master, such an inquiry is not uncommon. Every unknown thing we have to learn and inquire from a learned personality. The question of creation is also one of such inquiries to be made to the right person. The spiritual master, therefore, must be one who is sarvajana, as stated herein in connection with Shukadeva Goswami. Thus, all inquiries on God which are unknown to the disciple may be made from the qualified spiritual master, and here the practical example is set by Maharaja Parikshit. It was, however, already known to Maharaja Parikshit that everything we see is born out of the energy of the Lord, as we have all learned in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadi Yashriya Yata. So Maharaja Parikshit wanted to know the process of creation. The origin of creation was known to him, otherwise he would not have inquired how the personality of God, by his different energies, created this phenomenal world. The common man also knows that the creation is made by some creator and is not created automatically. We have no experience in the practical world that a thing is created automatically. Foolish people say that the creative energy is independent and acts automatically as electrical energy works. But the intelligent man knows that even the electrical energy is generated by an expert engineer in the localized powerhouse, and thus the energy is distributed everywhere under the resident engineer's supervision. The Lord's supervision in connection with creation is mentioned even in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 10. And it is clearly said that that material energy is a manifestation of one of many such energies of the Supreme. Parasya Shaktir Vivilaiva Shruyate. An inexperienced boy may be struck with wonder by seeing the impersonal actions of electrons or many other wonderful things conducted by electrical energy. But an experienced man knows that behind the action is a living man who creates such energy. Similarly, the so-called scholars and philosophers of the world may, by mental speculation, present so many utopian theories about the impersonal creation of the universe, but an intelligent devotee of the Lord, by studying the Bhagavad Gita, can know that behind the creation is the hand of the Supreme Lord, just as in the generating electrical powerhouse there is the resident engineer. The research scholar finds out the cause and the effect of everything, but research scholars as great as Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and many other demigods are sometimes bewildered by seeing the wonderful creative energy of the Lord. So what to speak of the tiny mundane scholars dealing in petty things? As there are differences in the living conditions of different planets of the universe, and as one planet is superior to others, the brains of the living entities in those respective planets are also of different categorical values. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one can compare the long duration of life of the inhabitants of Brahma's planet, which is inconceivable to the inhabitants of this planet Earth, to the categorical value of the brain of Brahmaji, also inconceivable to any great scientist of this planet. And with such high brain power, even Brahmaji has described in his great Samhita, the Brahma Samhita 5.1, as follows. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Brahmaji admits Lord Krishna to be the supreme cause of all causes, but persons with tiny brains within this petty planet, Earth, think of the Lord as one of them. Thus, when the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that he, Lord Krishna, is all in all, the speculative philosophers and the mundane wranglers deride him, and the Lord regretfully says, Ajay abajananti mam muda manusim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshvaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 11. Brahma and Shiva, what to speak of the other demigods, are bhutas, or powerful created demigods who manage universal affairs, much like ministers appointed by a king. The ministers may be Ishvaras, or controllers, but the Supreme Lord is Maheshvara, or the creator of the controllers. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge do not know this, and therefore they have the audacity to deride him because he comes before us by his causeless mercy occasionally as a human being. The Lord is not like a human being. He is Satchitananda Vigraha, or the absolute personality of Godhead. And there is no difference between his body and his soul. He is both the power and the powerful. Maharaja Parikshit did not ask his spiritual master Shukadeva Goswami to narrate Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavana. He wanted to hear first about the creation of the Lord. Shukadeva Goswami did not say that the king should hear about the direct transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The time was very short, and naturally Shukadeva Goswami could have gone directly to the 10th canto to make a shortcut of the whole thing, as generally done by the professional reciters. But neither the king nor the great speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam jumped up like the organizers of Bhagavatam. Both of them proceeded systematically, so that both future readers and hearers might take lessons from the example of the procedure of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are in control of the external energy of the Lord, or in other words, those who are in the material world, must first of all know how the external energy of the Lord is working under the direction of the Supreme Personality, and afterwards one may try to enter into the activities of his internal energy. The mundaners are mostly worshippers of Durga Devi, the external energy of Krishna, but they do not know that Durga Devi is but the shadow energy of the Lord. Behind her astonishing display of material workings is the direction of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 10. The Brahma Samhita affirms that Durga Shakti is working by the direction of Govinda, and without his sanction, the powerful Durga Shakti cannot move even a blade of grass. Therefore, the neophyte devotee, instead of jumping at once to the platform of transcendental pastimes presented by the internal energy of the Lord, may know how the great Supreme Lord is by inquiring about the process of his creative energy. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, also descriptions of the creative energy and the Lord's hand in it are explained, and the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita has warned the neophyte devotees to be seriously on guard against the pitfall of neglecting knowledge about Krishna in regard to how great he is. Only when one knows Lord Krishna's greatness can one firmly put one's unflinching faith in him. Otherwise, like the common man, even the great leaders of men will mistake Lord Krishna for one of the many demigods, or a historical personality, or a myth only. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavana, or even at Devaraka, are relishable for persons who have already qualified themselves in advanced spiritual techniques, and the common man may be able to attain to such a plane by the gradual process of service and inquiries, as we shall see in the behavior of Maharaja Parikshit. So, repeating the verse, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 6. I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. All right. So the only thing I could say is if none of them can figure it out, how can we figure it out? The only way we can learn is the same way, by listening to the instruction of advanced spiritual masters. And even Brahma and Shiva have trouble understanding it because they are just ministers. Remember that. So that the Supreme Lord is the creator of the controllers. Um, his energy is Satchitananda Vigraha, the absolute personality of Godhead. Um, so there's no difference between his body and his soul. But Lord Krishna is the only one who is like that. The rest of us are part and parcel of the Lord, but we are not the Lord. We cannot totally understand, even after being explained here in the book. We cannot totally understand. And but this attempt to understand is very important in our spiritual progress and in our appreciation of of Krishna's time on the planet Earth, and also of his supreme pastimes. These can only fully be appreciated by one who is seeking to understand all of the philosophy behind it, and the why and wherefore of things like the creation of the universes. So let me see, what else can I add to that? Of course, one, knowing that Krishna is the creator of the universe, one may come up with the question that I came up with recently, and is who created Krishna. And I've been told by Manunatha Maharaj that Krishna is eternal. Krishna has been there forever, and so this is one thing that we need to simply accept in order to be able to understand the rest of it. So and in actuality, when you get down to it, the 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 philosophies are very simple, as our as my Guru Manunatha Maharaj has also pointed out. There's the ABC of Krishna consciousness. There's some very, very basic concepts, but since we have a hard time understanding them, they need to be explained over and over again to us in many, many different ways. And it's very important for us to make the questions, even if we are afraid of being considered a poor neophyte, who is ignorant. We must make the questions anyhow, because in this way we have given a forum for the continuing explanation in many different ways of the very simple answers. Now, I'm not going to attempt to summarize the very simple answers for you, because our point is the studying of this particular verse today. But I must admit that I really have nothing more to add at this moment, and I'd like to open up the discussion to others who would like to participate. Perhaps we could start with Govinda. Are you able to comment, Govinda?
Hare Krishna, yes, and Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, I mean, thank you for your explanations, and also for asking the question and bringing up your question about who created Krishna. How sometimes we might not even think to ask that, or it could be something that maybe we feel, well, maybe I shouldn't ask that, and so we don't want to. But so that was the very end of this. Srila Prabhupada says that the transcendental pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavan, or even at Dwarka, are relishable for persons who have already qualified themselves in advanced spiritual techniques, and the common man may be able to attain to such a plane by the gradual process of service and inquiries, as we shall see in the behavior of Maharaj Parikshit. So that is our process. At least I know I'm a common man, and I know many of us maybe fall into that category too. And so Srila Prabhupada has given us the uh, prescription of how it is that we can actually get to uh, a spiritual consciousness where we can really relish the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan and Dwarka, and then further on, relish the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Navadvip and Jagannath Puri. So, but to get to that platform, it takes service and inquiries. So, our practice here, we're hearing, and through the process of hearing, um, we try to apply ourselves so that we can come up with questions because of how much knowledge there is, how broad and how deep spirituality can go. The questions that we can have are really endless. There's no end to the questions that we can pose. It just takes a little effort on our part and a little bit of application of our mind. I know I felt guilty of sometimes just reading things and no questions really come up because I'm not really trying to meditate on what I'm reading, or I'm not really trying to go deeper in what I'm reading. I'm just trying to uh, absorb it, just trying to familiarize myself with what it is that I'm reading to begin with, and then but it takes a little bit more application to actually have questions and see what things don't make sense and what things I may have doubts about. So this is a good reminder for myself too, that if I want to progress, if we want to progress in our spiritual life, then it is important to have questions. There's so many points though, and I don't really want to just keep talking because I feel like things can get kind of lost. So I feel like it's nicer if it can be a discussion, and it's hard to make it a discussion if I'm going through like 20 different points, and then it's like, so what do you guys think? But I feel like if we can go like maybe one point at a time, I mean, that's my opinion. We can approach it however, but I just feel like this purport is so rich, and so Prabhupada touches upon so many points that I feel like we don't really have to go anywhere else. We can stay here just because of how many things, how many points he brings up. So for me, I just want to finish on that, just that reminder, and that reminder of how questions are so important and how questions can bring us deeper into our Krishna consciousness. And then attached with questions is a service. So if we're doing some level of service, some seva, then that helps with our questions, and then they go hand in hand with each other. So it's very nice to have that reminder.
Absolutely. Very good point. And so I'd like to welcome Mataji Lavanga. Do you have any comments? Were you listening? Do you know which verse we're on, etc.?
Yeah, we're on 246, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had an emergency. We had a transformer blow. So the whole block is without power. But anyway, I'm very happy that I'm able to be here with both of you today. And what you're mentioning, I wasn't able to hear the whole purport, but Govinda's point about questions. For me, I don't know if you guys have this problem, but for me, it always takes time for questions to come up. You know, like those people at the end of Bhagavatam class, they have a question like immediately, and like a good question, you know? For me, I need to like think about it a bit. And then the bad habit I have is like a question will come to me at the most inconvenient time. You know, like we're like, oh, I can't just go ask somebody this. So I have to like write it down. But no, I appreciate the point about having good questions. But oftentimes sometimes I get these questions that I'm afraid to ask. Like for one particular incident I heard about, like this past time with Prabhupada, something Prabhupada did, and I didn't understand, you know, like why he was doing it. So I asked like two senior devotees, and they got like offended that I was like questioning Prabhupada. Like I tried to ask it in the most humble way possible,
Yeah.
but two of them like got like offended, and then one of them came to me later and like apologized and said no, like I should like I should actually know how to answer these questions. And I said, Prabhu, like I just asked, asked it because I'm actually like reading, I'm going through all the letters and conversations and things like this. And so I think a situation like that like I had in the past, it made me afraid to ask questions. And so it's something that I struggle with nowadays because I don't want to look stupid or something, you know what I mean? So I mean I know I'm giving more of a personal reflection and not so much philosophy, but since we're having a discussion here, I just thought I would reveal my heart on the matter, why sometimes, like I feel embarrassed to like ask questions, even though I know it's important. So I guess what I'm kind of getting at here is it's important to also ask questions to like find someone you trust that you could ask, that you can, really reveal your heart to and even ask these difficult questions. Um because I know there was one instance where I think Urmila Mataji brought this up in one of her classes where they were studying Bhagavad Gita, and there's that one part in the first chapter purport where Arjuna doesn't want to fight, and Prabhupada said it's because of like weakness of heart, and somebody asked Urmila, is that not Vaishnava Aparad? Because Arjuna's a devotee, just thinking of a question like that. She's like, oh, okay, let's explore that. So, there's some people I can like they can take questions like that, but I've learned in my Krishna consciousness, you also got to be careful who you ask questions to, because not everybody is open to every kind of question. So.
That's true, but any question should be welcome because even the ones that seem like they are doubting the truth of what we're reading will only bring us to better understand what we're reading and begin to accept the truth. So,
Mm.
they all questions should be welcome, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for revealing your heart, Longa Prabhu. I think it's very nice. It helps us once when it's part of the nine processes of devotional. Is it? No, loving. I know loving exchanges. I don't know.
Loving exchanges.
Yeah, I forgot what it falls under though. I know Rupa Goswami brings it up, but I don't remember exactly like what it falls under. Well, anyways, but yeah, this is actually part of our Krishna consciousness is to feel comfortable in sharing um and yeah, I think that is a good point too of when it comes to questions, making sure that we feel comfortable asking or we feel comfortable with the person that we're asking the question. I think I brought this up before, but I it always stuck with me. The Archer Prabhu in New Dwarka, he was talking about questions and how there was at a point in time there was this I don't know, basically like there was this I don't know what you call it, but this common occurrence happening where in New Dwarka there were I don't know the history about it. I'm just repeating verbatim what he said in the class is that they would try to come up with these questions to stump the Swami is what he said. So like coming up with these super difficult, maybe super technical questions just to make the speaker kind of scratch their head or really like freeze up or I don't know what the intention was, um but it didn't seem to come from a good place. It's like coming up with the question to intentionally try to make the speaker get confused or whatever the case is. And so we don't want to approach it that way. And then he also was talking about how when we're the person that we're asking the questions to, we want to make sure that we value their opinion, and we value their what their response will be, and we're willing to either accept it or even make an adjustment to follow what it is that they're saying. So there's a level of intelligence that's needed to make questions and to then accept the questions. It takes, I mean, first of all, it takes thinking just to come up with the question itself. I know the kind of like what Lavanga Prabhu was saying, I think I fall in that too, where it takes me a while to come up with the question too. And then sometimes it also feels like, oh, you know what, maybe that question isn't deep enough. So maybe I shouldn't even ask it because I didn't really think about it that much. So maybe I shouldn't even bother asking about it. So I fall into that sometimes too, where and you never know. I mean, I never know that maybe a question that doesn't really seem like I've been meditating on, or it's really been a burning desire for me. It could just by asking it, getting, and then the response itself can help me to want to know more, and to want to know more and go deeper, even though I didn't feel confident asking it, but the response gave me confidence and wanting to know more. So, but again, that goes in with asking someone who you feel comfortable with. So, there was another point in here that I really wanted to touch upon too, unless anyone wanted to add more about asking questions and their relation with questions.
I was saying, I think Shanti has some questions.
No? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to see. Yeah, she does. She has questions. She has
Yes.
many questions, but I don't understand what she's
We're
saying.
waiting for
She speaks
the
in
other point.
Sanskrit.
Yes, we're waiting for the other point you wanted to touch upon.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were waiting for me.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. What else was standing out to me here? Man, it's just it's like while we're reading, it's all just coming in. But then I try not to hold on to it because then I
Yes.
can't listen to what we're saying.
Well,
So I
I
just kind
would
of let it go.
suggest that we go on to the next verse because it is a shorter verse with a shorter purport, and I think with the 20 minutes remaining, we would be able to cover it. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah, I mean, if we want to do that, that's
do
fine
you
too.
feel comfortable, or would it be better if Lavanga read because you have Shanti on your lap? Yeah?
Oh, yeah, maybe if she could read, that'd be better.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yata gopayati yata yata gopayati vibur yata sam yajate puna yam shaktin upashritya puru shakti parapumam atmanam kridan karoti vikaroti cha. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world and the sporting spirit of a player. Purports. In the Katha Upanishad, the Supreme Lord is described as the chief eternal being amongst all other eternal individual beings. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanam, and the one Supreme Lord who maintains innumerable other individual living beings. Eko Bahunam Yo Viradati Kuman. So all living entities, both in the conditioned state and in the liberated state, are maintained by the Almighty Supreme Lord. Such maintenance is effected by the Lord through his different expansions of self and three principal energies, namely the eternal, external, and marginal energies. The living entities are his marginal energies, and some of them are in the confidence of the Lord. And some of them in the confidence of the Lord are entrusted with the work of creation also, as are Brahma, Marichi, etc. And the acts of creation are inspired by the Lord unto them. Tane Brahma Krita. The external energy Maya is also impregnated with the jivas, or conditioned souls. The unconditioned marginal potency acts in the spiritual kingdom, and the Lord, by his different plenary expansions, maintains them in different transcendental relations displayed in the spiritual sky. So the one supreme personality of Godhead manifests himself in many, Bahusmam, and thus all diversities are in him, and he is in his and he is in all diversities. Although he is nevertheless different from all of them, that is the inconceivable mystic power of the Lord. And as such, everything is simultaneously one with and different from him by his inconceivable potencies. Ajinte Beta Beta. So different. So translation again. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world and the sporting spirit of a player. So, the different expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that would take us some time to discuss in detail. But, what I can appreciate about this purport is, basically how uh how Krishna expands himself in so many different energies. And it's amazing to me because even after hearing about this for so long, I feel that there's still so much more I have to understand. Like I understand in a very basic way how Krishna expands himself, and and how first he expands and like all the demigods are there and they're maintaining different parts of the material manifestation. But to be able to know like all these energies in detail, I still can't give like an advanced level class on it. I'm still very like basic level even after all this time. But it makes me think about also too about how unlimited Krishna is, because it said a yogi can expand themselves up to 9 times, but they all have to be doing the same thing. Versus we see Krishna can expand himself unlimited times, and there's unlimited energies. And I also find this one particular point interesting as well. It says the living entities are his marginal energies, and some of them are in the confidence of some of them in the confidence of the Lord are entrusted with the work of creation also. So like Brahma and Marichi and other demigods, they also count as marginal potency, kind of like us, but they've been given different abilities. As Prabhupada says, they're in the confidence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, it makes me think about how, depending on what our past actions are, we can either get into a human body, or we can go up and get into the body of a demigod or some heavenly being. But you're still marginal potency. Which means marginal potency means you have the tendency to be covered over by Maya, or the tendency to be Krishna conscious. So that's kind of what stuck out to me with this purport. But like Govinda said, I don't want to go on too much. So, do any of you have any comments you would like to add to this?
Well, I think that these are very good points. The energy that we experience here in the material world, of course, is affected by the modes of material nature, and it's and in that sense there's no purity of understanding until we get beyond the modes of material nature, and which we've talked about in the past too. The hardest one being to get beyond is being to get beyond the mode of goodness. But even so, we must recognize that we are only a part of the energy that is Krishna, and Krishna is the only complete source. And um, so and we could never even totally understand that, although we should certainly make the effort to try to understand that. That's what this whole course is about, the whole reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're trying to understand. And as I pointed out earlier, before you arrived, even that the basic concepts are few and very basic, but since they're so hard for us to understand as conditioned souls, we need to go over them again and again and hear the answers in different ways again and again and again and again, which is why we must make the questions that occur to our minds, even if they seem like ridiculous questions or redundant questions, because we are asking about the same things over and over again. But we certainly, that's the only way for us to be even begin to grasp the Krishna consciousness, is by making these questions and attempting to understand the answers and continuing forward in our readings and discussions.
So, I
Yes.
appreciate what you just brought up. And speaking of questions, there was something in this purport. It says the unconditioned marginal potency acts in the spiritual kingdom. And wait, hold on, wait. Let me find it here. Okay, yeah, I believe it's right here. The unconditioned marginal potency acts in the spiritual kingdom, and the Lord, by his different plenary expansions, maintains them in different transcendental relations displayed in the spiritual sky. So, it's talking about the marginal potency here, um, which include, we are the marginal potency, but the part where he says he maintains them in different transcendental relations displayed in the spiritual sky. So, does this mean that, like, I just had this thought that, is this further evidence that the jiva was once with uh Krishna? Because there's some people that have this idea that, like, we weren't originally in the spiritual world. We're like, and we were on, like, we're we were born in, like, we came out in some interim state and then came to this planet. There's, like, this debate of, like, whether or not the jiva fell or didn't fall from the spiritual world. And so, just when he says, like, he maintains them in different transcendental relations displayed in the spiritual sky, I guess maybe this could, never mind. I guess maybe I'm looking at it, it could be taken in a different way. Like, he maintains them in different relations in the material world that are also a perverted reflection of what goes on in the spiritual sky. I don't know. How do you, yeah, I guess maybe it's like
Well,
that, this
yeah, we've
concept.
had this discussion. I've even made the question about it too, because if we're all trying to go back to Godhead, aren't we assuming that we all came from there, that we're all fallen souls, or that we all have decided or chosen to fall from that superior spiritual world back into the material world in an attempt to enjoy ourselves somehow, right? But then we have to work our way back up to Godhead again, and to I don't know, it's kind of obvious that more obvious that our ascent, we go through various bodies, and we're given these bodies and these different forms and different places and different levels of spiritual advancement in order to maintain our upward motion. But it's an interesting thought to think that when we descended, also Krishna decided where it was to put us. as far as our advancement would be, in the dissension as well as the ascension. What do you think of that, Mother Namanga?
Yeah, how Christian decided, where to put us. Yeah. Because I know, like, when we're taking birth after birth in the material world, it's like you said, it's kind of due to the modes that we're associating with in a previous life. But it's very interesting, like when we first fall, like where Christian decides to put us, and I think it's ultimately we're put in a place that's good for us. If we learn the lesson, we can make further advancements. But that also all depends on us whether or not we actually are able to imbibe the lessons in that birth and make advancement further on. It's kind of like when Prabhupada mentions if you're born in a very rich family, it's good for you because you have more time for spiritual life generally, and you don't have to work so hard. But we say that most people, well, I don't want to say most people, because I don't know. I haven't done like a poll, but but there's a tendency there to also, okay, well, I'm just gonna enjoy life because I'm rich, so one might not be able to learn the lesson in that actual aspect. But
Right. That's the hazard of being in the mode of goodness, as I mentioned a
be,
few minutes ago.
being the hazard being the mode of goodness too. And if you don't mind, I just want to back up a little bit with like the modes of nature. I was realizing yesterday how because we hear about that they're everywhere, and it really doesn't always sink into my head that the modes are everywhere. But like just yesterday, I was the electricity went off here again yesterday. It's been doing this for days, and then finally a transformer blew, and I was
Here,
just
here too.
feeling,
Here too, by the way.
oh, you're going through it too. So right now I'm sitting in a room without air conditioning, and I'm sweating. And so yesterday this happened, and I was just feeling like really kind of like upset, like kind of angry, and all of a sudden, like, I what turned on my iPad, and I clicked on this YouTube video, like looking for stuff, and this video popped up of like classical music. It was like relaxing classical music, and I realized how that started to change my mood to like a more calming, more relaxing, and I was like, oh, because this music is more mode of goodness, So now I'm starting to kind of like lose that anger a little bit. And then I turn on kirtan, and then then that was even like more on like a higher level. And then it just hit me. I was like, yeah, these modes are everywhere. They're always affecting us in a more subtle way. And like the sound vibration is so important, like what's going in our ears, because it will affect how we react and stuff. And like I hear about that in Shastra, the modes of nature and this and that, but I'm not conscious of it quite often in everyday life. I'm just going through the motions and things like this. But no, realizing more and more how like what I'm surrounding myself with, it really is affecting my consciousness, and that in turn is affecting my actions, which is ultimately going to create like my next birth, you know. So so yeah, no, your point there about the modes and about the position that the jiva is in, it was just something that I was reflecting on, and that I just wanted to bring up here for discussion, because in some ways, this philosophy seems so simple, but to but to remember it throughout the day sometimes can be so difficult when all these things are going on.
Yes, absolutely. Very true.
So,
Would you like to comment further? Because otherwise I'll start with some closing words.
let's see. Let me see what else. What else we got here? Actually, yeah, because we only got 3 minutes left. I think you can go ahead and start with your with your closing words, so I won't take us over time.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who has listened to this recording, who has chosen to join us live or listen to this recording. And oh, geez, I have some questions forming in my own mind because I know several people who have left their bodies recently, and some were some were devotees and some were not. And I would like to ask Manunatha Maharaj a question about those who were not devotees, that when we're praying for them, what good that does for them, if you know. But that's something that I want everybody to think about. What are your questions? That was the kind of a topic of today's verses, and what we've been talking about, and maybe some people may have showed up or tuned in because they expected to or hoped to see Manunatha Maharaj here present speaking to us. And I just want to point out that he has agreed, once a month to chat with us, to give us a nice class. But when this will take place depends a lot on whether or not he receives questions and can form a topic for the discussion. I myself personally asked for the class on Balaram, for Balaram's appearance day. I personally asked him for that class because if any of you are bilingual and you're following, you'll see that every day, Manunatha Maharaj walks around India and makes videos about the places he's seen and the pastimes that Krishna performed when he was on this earth, and he does that all in Spanish because there's really nobody asking him to do it in English. So I encourage you all to form questions, to send them either to the group chat or send them personally to Manunatha Maharaj. And I will indeed talk to him about when the date of the next video conference is, that he will be present. But it's not just about whether Yamuna asks him or whether Yamuna makes questions. It's about all of us. So I encourage you to all participate more fully in this process of Krishna consciousness, because we are very fortunate to have a living master who can answer these questions for us. As Lavanga pointed out earlier, sometimes you don't even know who to ask the questions to. But we have, a very good source of, to ask the questions. We have a guru in the line, in the parampara, who is actually willing to come and speak to us and answer our questions. So let's take advantage of that and get those questions flowing, even if they seem like ridiculous neophyte questions. He always has an excellent answer for us and never makes you feel silly for asking the question. So, having
What
said
you
that,
what you mentioned, Yamuna, I would like to add, because you talked about praying for people that are not devotees, and I've also heard this chanting rounds for other people.
mhm.
I don't know if you've heard that thing, and I was always wondering too, like, does that give any benefit? So maybe.
Well, get that question in there. I'll send my question, you send yours, and get them in there. And maybe, the first week of September, we can have a nice video conference with him. Let's see.
Okay.
And check out the website, isvara.org, and check out the Facebook page, Isvara Archives.
Mhm.
Okay. So, having said that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Manunatha Maharaj ki jai.
Jai. See you next week.
Hare Krishna.